Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota said on NBC's Meet the Press that releasing the affidavit would help. At least that would confirm that there was justification for the raid. Yeah, unless releasing it would reveal that there's no justification for the raid and that it's a pure political shenanigan. Unless and by the way, Merrick Garland signed off on it personally. So what happens now if this affidavit for probable cause actually shows no meaningful probable cause to possibly warrant this unprecedented historic raid of a former president's house, and Merrick Garland personally signed off on it? What happens then? What happens when the attorney, what's his name, AG, the head of the Justice Department, Merrick Garland, gets outed for potentially, maybe it's got the best information in the world. Maybe there's a Fang in Trump's inner circle. Fang is Eric Swalwell's alleged Chinese girlfriend spy. I say Chinese not because that matters, just because it's the Chinese spy aspect that's the relevant. Alleged girlfriend, Fang. Maybe there's a Fang mole within the Trump department who has this time they've got him, people. This time they've so got him, they don't even have to falsify the evidence. Maybe. Or maybe not. And Merrick Garland personally signed off on an arbitrary, baseless, abusive search warrant that they then found the right magistrate to rubber stamp as well for what is nothing more than potentially the most scandalous political move in the history of American politics. Maybe. Notice that they won't discuss Hunter Biden, but will give all damning evidence they have related to Trump. Well, I notice if it's knowing that they had classified information. Oh my gosh, knowing that they had classified information. It's serious. That's why they had to do this. But not with the Secretary of State, when the Secretary of State admitted that she had recognized that she had classified documents on an unsecured external server. Not then. You know what? And that might be the good segue in. It's not the whataboutism. It's the double standard. First of all, everybody should appreciate that paper documents behind a lock and key is exponentially safer than digital documents on an unsecured external server. Exponentially. Technically, someone can still go look at those paper documents, make photocopies, and take a picture. That would have to happen pretty much one person at a time after they're let in behind a door. Digital documents on a digital server, on an external unsecured server, that is pretty much open to anybody and everybody in the world all the time. And they don't even need to make physical copies. They can make digital copies. So to purport that this warrants what happened, whereas other stuff didn't warrant what didn't happen, is an exercise in stupidity. That, and also, Trump is the president. One question in all of this is whether or not Trump declassified everything that he took, or was in the process of disputing it, discussing it with National Archives, however that works. That's one question. It's a question that you don't ask with a Secretary of State who doesn't have the power to declassify classified documents in the first place. Oh, and by the way, there was an article that came out that said, when it comes to Hillary, let's just set aside the fact that she's a Secretary of State, could not declassify the documents, period. That it's digital documents on an unsecured external server, which is exponentially more exposed than hard copies behind lock and key at Trump's tower of Mar-a-Lago. The fact checkers are now coming out and saying the documents were less obviously classified for Hillary. Hold on, we'll get there right now after this. Imagine this. FBI used to get sensitive documents from former president. FBI gets dismantled, but there just happens to be 10,000s of positions open in the IRS. Not bad, not bad. It's an interesting way of scripting this movie.